This is Sai Wenji, and you have the great honor of listening to Lord Bish on the Get a Life podcast. Enjoy.
Hello, hello, hello. How about that intro? That was awesome. Hey guys, welcome to Get a Life podcast tonight. I am your host, Bish Loves Mish. This is episode 4. No, it's not episode 4. It's episode 5. Yeah, it's episode 5, and this episode, we're going to pass it on to Kevin because he's the host of this episode and he was the one who decided what it was. So I'll let you continue.
Well, anyways, guys, this episode is the anime I chose for this episode is Blast of Tempest, or also known as絶園のTempest. And basically, the story revolves around two characters. So, Mahiro, and he's basically this guy whose sister gets murdered 1 year before the events of the show, and he's on this crazy quest for revenge. And his friend Yoshino gets dragged along into all this. And that's the most basic description I could basically give you without spoiling too much.
Well, this anime is kind of complex.
Yeah, it's hard to explain right off the bat.
It is. It's very hard to explain without seeing.
Just in case, whoever's listening to the show, we have to. They already know we're gonna be discussing spoilers.
Tyson made it clear in the first episode.
This is plot-centric. This anime is plot-centric, so if you are spoiled, then take no responsibility for that.
Yeah, we do not take any. The Get a Life podcast Kunai does not take any responsibility if we spoil the show for you. This is what we do on the Get a Life podcast Kunai.
So deal with it. Anyways, first question. So what were your thoughts going into the anime? Like, when you first started it, or before you watched it, what were your thoughts?
I didn't have any sort of thoughts because I didn't research the anime. I didn't want to spoil it for myself. But just by the name, I was like, Blast of Tempest, what does this mean? I didn't know what a tempest was, honestly, but it has some sort of Shakespeare references, which is kind of beautiful in the anime. I don't want to talk about that now, though. But when I watched it, I was initially watching it the first couple of episodes because when I watched it, I was tired and I was like, I just need to watch this so I can get it out of the way. I was just watching it for the sake of kunai. I wasn't really enjoying it until around the 4th episode, and then that's where it all pieced together, and it was just like, this is an incredibly beautiful anime and I should really appreciate it more. And yeah, I want to talk about bits of it later, but I don't want to say everything now. Tyson?
I'm kind of on the same boat because what I usually do when an anime fails to get my attention at the first episode, I usually quit it. I've done that with Bleach more recently. Basically, I have a short attention span, and then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this for the podcast, but that's about it. And even so, I felt that it had a slow start. Some details about the story that we're giving in episode 3, if they gave those in episode 1, then I would be more invested in the story instead of trying to figure out what the hell is going on. I think it was a bit too heavy on the backstory with absolutely no reason to care about the characters like that at the beginning. Sure that it solved itself more in the future, but at the start it was like, a show that I watched for the podcast, and then as I progressed, then it started becoming, I wouldn't say awesome, but I would say tolerable.
I see. So you wouldn't say awesome. I thought it was awesome after the 4th episode, but it's kind of interesting that you just say it's only tolerable.
I think it's a given that we all have our different tastes in anime. So at least to me, it was tolerable. Then later on, it's not even remotely in my top 20, but it was an enjoyable watch. But like I said, entirely tolerable.
So what do you think, Kevin?
That's interesting. So basically, what happened with me is the first time I saw this, I was just browsing through. I watched the first episode. I stopped around at 16 minutes. I dropped it for about 3 months, came back to it, and I really understand what you guys saying when you say that it starts off kind of slow. I think this anime doesn't take the time to lay everything out in front of you and explain all the details. It just puts you right in the middle of the story, and you're just a spectator, right? And it can be confusing. It's not a simple anime. There's a lot of elements to it, so I think that might offset a few people. It might not be something they'd like. But yeah, I really do think that it starts to pick up later on, and by episode like 4 or 5, I was hooked into it, and I just starting episode, I think 9, I would just marathon the rest of the anime because it was just, I just liked it a lot.
Well, I agree as well, especially when they talk about how they became friends and all of that kind of stuff. It's like you're gradually being introduced into this kind of friendship, and you kind of feel that, yeah, I was there as well. You know what I mean? As opposed to just being, hey, here's a friendship, just deal with it and accept it. Like, that's something I don't really like about certain animes, when they're like, oh, this is the backstory, accept it. But because this anime, everything is like according to like really small details, and they come back again, and everything works together. It's like a puzzle, you know? And I think with certain things taken out of this anime, it really wouldn't work at all. But at the same time, I'm feeling that you can take certain things out, and it would kind of make sense. Like, I don't. For instance, I have like 2 gripes about this anime. One of them is what's his name, Megumu Hanamura, and the second one is the fact that this is like 1 season. I would have preferred it to be 2 seasons, honestly. I understand I can't really change that, and it's a silly kind of gripe, but still, it's the fact that they introduce a new character halfway through, and then there's this one episode, I think it's episode 14, where they're just reviewing what happened in the first 14 episodes, and you could skip it. It pissed me off. It was just like, oh, so this is what happened, and this is my story. I was like, the whole anime just explained it. Why do I need to watch this again?
There is one thing, because if it was divided by seasons, because at the end both Mahiro and Yoshino were killed, you would assume that was it. Like, that's the story. So given that sort of continuity, I think it worked for Tempest, because the characters are still alive and that kind of stuff. And it doesn't lend itself to any sort of what the hell just happened here? Why are these 2 alive? If they went with any sort of division between the seasons.
I would have preferred it if they just cut it off there and have that 1 season. And then second season, yes, then you can be like, hey, this is my story. I'm Mahiro. This is what happened in the last season. Enjoy the second season. That's how I felt that episode was. It was simply a pointless episode, and it was a waste. It was 20 minutes taken away from my life.
Yeah, that's what basically filler episodes do for some reason. I don't know if it's when it was officially aired, there was a big gap that made such an episode a necessity. But maybe Kevin can answer that. I don't know.
Yeah. In its own defense, I do agree that it's really like, if you watch the first part of the anime, there's no reason why you should really watch episode number 13. But in its own defense, I think that maybe it's a sort of trend with anime with like long seasons. Because if you take a look at Attack on Titan, which I know Tyson's familiar with, it also contained an episode like this at the halfway point, which was kind of like a refresher to keep people updated.
Yeah, but I hate that kind of thing. It's like, I hate when you have a whole episode. They should be like more like Dragon Ball Z. You know, when they're like at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, or like, this time on Dragon Ball Z, this happened. And you know, you get like a refresher. You get like a 5-minute refresher. I don't see a need of a whole episode to describe what happened in 13 episodes. It kind of makes the 13 episodes before either invalid. And considering that I preferred the first 13 episodes, I feel that the 13th episode was an insult to the whole anime, because it was just like, hey, it's just a recap. I don't need it.
Well, to be honest, having a full episode just basically be a recap compared to, say, how long could a preview last before the actual episode does? 20 seconds, 30 seconds? How much story can you explain within those 30 seconds and still stay relevant? Like,
I don't need a story explanation. I've just watched this. And considering that it was released, a week after episode 12, if I was watching this while it was simulcast, I would already know what the story is. If there was a considerable gap, as you mentioned, then yes, I would have no problem with that. But there was no gap. There was a week gap. It was just 1 week.
But neither of us know that for it to be a fact. Like how you watch anime in the 90s, which is when Dragon Ball Z was going on, and how we watch anime now are completely different. So yeah, while marathoning, binge watching, however you want to call it, has changed the purpose of how the episodes are developed, I still see kind of a validity,
Oh.
especially if they although to be honest, episode 13 was full of maybe the little details that we failed to catch on during the main season, but it was also but I think maybe I'm wrong in here. It's been a while since I watched it. It still didn't explain to me why, or not why, how Mahiro and Yoshino, after being killed by the tree of I think it was Exodus, right?
Yeah.
That killed it. I still failed to see how those two came back to life, basically.
I'll actually clarify that. If you don't remember at the end of episode 12, remember that Hakaze sacrifices, what is it, that the gun to revive
The talisman.
Mahiro,
Okay.
and after Samo sacrifices his sword to revive, I think it was Mahiro.
Which was kind of nice actually, because he looked really attached to that sword. If that was me, I'd have been like, "Hey, that's my sword, man." Why couldn't he use one of the? Oh no, he can't use organic material. I thought he was able to do that. Why can't he use his shoes or his clothes or something like that? Why did he have to do it for his sword? Because technically, okay, yeah, maybe it wasn't enough, or maybe it was, and this is just like a massive flaw in the whole anime. Dun dun dun.
There is something I noticed that that was a plot hole, but I'm gonna wait until a little. At least I felt it was a plot hole, so I'm gonna wait a little bit further before entering into the discussion.
Oh, regarding the 13th episode, I think I know the reason why they decided to make it a recap episode now.
Okay.
Because yes, we watched it this year. All the episodes were aired online, so most of us, I think, or all of us here, marathoned it. So of course, if you watch it one after another, then episode 13 is absolutely pointless. But if you look on the Wikipedia page, it turns out that episode 12, there's a good sizable 20-day gap between two episodes. So I guess they just wanted to put that there in order to fill people in on the second half, right? Because once again, this is rather plot-heavy anime and not comprehending the first half. I mean, especially if you're picking up in the halfway, you don't want to be confused with the second half.
Well, that cleared it, but still, I still find it pointless. Although episode 13 did have some bits that were kind of relevant towards the end, like the last 5 minutes. So if you guys are watching this anime for the first time, please don't skip episode 13. It's kind of important because those 5 minutes in episode 13 do explain some things.
Skip to the last 5 minutes, episode 13, basically.
Or to be safe, skip halfway because we don't know the exact point, and I don't want to get complaints from you guys saying, "Oh, Bish, man, what are you doing, man?" Oh, so yeah. Another thing I just wanted to raise was Megumu. No, that's all I have to say about Megumu. He's very useful, but he's just there, he's just there, and he's just like a kind of stupid plot device where for some reason he's just there when all of the big things happens, and he's an idiot, but yet he knows how to explain things very well, and he knows what's going on in the story, which I can't fathom.
I do agree.
I think it had to do with the fact that he's perceptive.
But he's an idiot.
No, I think he purposely made himself that because, as we later found out in the story, the other magician of Setsuen died before his time, and then he wasn't as smart, he wasn't as tactical as the previous one. Can I already say who it is, or should we wait until later? So the first magician of Setsuen is Aika, and then she died before her time. So Megumu is like this half experiment or so. That's it. Megumu in all of the manner was supposed to be a successor, but he came in way before his time. Was supposed.
Well, he wasn't really a successor. He was just a backup.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't really important. Essentially, he's just a side character, but because in this anime he has such an important role to play, essentially he has to save the whole world.
Basically, yeah.
Kind of badass. But the thing is, he's very weak person. Yes, he can gain strength and whatever, but the whole reason, I remember one thing, he wanted to impress his ex-girlfriend in this anime, and I was just like, so you wanna save the world so you can impress your ex-girlfriend? Like
that was stupid. That was stupid.
Yeah. Indeed,
that was stupid.
It made me think, like, you're. That's why I thought he's such an idiot. Like, you're saving the world, yet you're just doing it to prove yourself. Like, but you're saving the world. You know what I mean?
But then again, you could say that Mahiro just wanting to destroy the world to avenge his sister is equally stupid.
It is, but Mahiro is not a complete idiot. This guy, you look at him, even the way and I have to say, this is amazing character development and amazing character design that it actually makes me want to hate a character. Do you know what I mean?
If you look at it this way, how would you would have made Megumi's character profile that wasn't already in the episode itself? Like, there's like a personification. Like, I would say that I would say Mahiro's the rebel, Yoshino's the guy that didn't want anything to do with it and get his drag along. If we're gonna be pointing fingers at who is the useless character,
Yeah,
I
it's
would
basically...
no. And here's where I present a different perspective. I would point the finger at Hayakawa and Evangeline. I felt those were completely unnecessary.
No. She's fan service.
Well, and Hakaze during the second season is basically fan service with all her fawning over Yoshino, basically.
What's her name? Yamamoto. The thing is, when I saw her from the beginning, I thought, yes, she might be very important to the story. But then you just find out that essentially what she is, it's a woman in a leather catsuit, and you're like, really? I understand that all anime needs some sort of fan service and whatnot, but it's disappointing that that's the way they're gonna do it. It's like, hey, and she's so stereotypical as well. Like, oh, the way she introduced herself, and she was like, oh yeah, it's me. I'm 30 years old and I'm unemployed. And
my friends call me Fraulein Yamamoto.
Yeah, I'm like, what? I'm surprised.
What the hell?
I'm surprised you have friends, because I don't hear about them.
Apparently, and she is in her own way trying to impress Hayakawa. Apparently to get a job or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she's kind of important in a certain sense. Like, she's the one that gives him the those flash grenades or whatever they are. I
will admit that both her role and Hayakawa's were made more important in the second arc of Tempest. But I don't know. I really didn't felt that they had a purpose to begin with, and in order to not throw these characters away, they just gave them a role in season 2 during the whole hunt of the Tree of Genesis, along with Megumi. But that's about it, really. That's about it.
But, it's another thing to kind of continue from that point is Yamamoto and the guy that has the spear.
That would be Natsumura.
Yeah, what was that all about? It was just like, where did she get the spear from?
Natsumura's spear is his weapon.
No, I'm talking about Yamamoto. She had a spear as well? And I was like, really? You're gonna have a spear?
I think that was fan service because if you remember, Evangeline was actually falling for Natsumura. That was kind of hinted. That was kind of hinted at the later episodes. I mean, it wasn't as in your face as the Hakaze and Yoshino pair, to say the least. But there was kind of little something going on there that the artist wanted to roll along with.
There was something else that I wanted to mention. It was regarding the kid that has no powers.
The kid that has no powers.
Yeah, he was he adopted or something, but he had no powers at all.
You're referring to Junichiro, the blonde guy.
He had no powers, and I'm like, how can he stop his magic? You see that in like the I think it was episode 11 or 12 or something.
No, he was initially introduced as the one who was holding the talisman that
I know, but what I'm saying is that he stopped the magic. I don't know how he stopped the guy with the spear. I forgot the guy with the spear's name. He stopped, like, he was charging at him, and then he just didn't. I don't know what he did, but he just fell down. The other guy just fell down, and it was like, whoa, this guy has powers, and I don't know of it. Like, what's going on? I found that wasn't explained.
When the second season started. Or not the second season, the first season, when they were looking for Aika's killer, when they started to hint that the Kurasibe family, the magic couldn't find anyone, and I was actually thinking that Junichiro was the one who assassinated Aika. That makes sense. That was where my thoughts were going when they say, okay, so it was someone from the the Kurasibe family, but he was no longer a part of the family, and I immediately thought of this guy, and I'm like, really?
You know who I thought of? I thought of the princess because she was exiled, and especially before she goes back in time, she was like, "Oh, I'm probably gonna have to kill her. It's probably me."
I am. I actually thought that was gonna happen when when she was going back to the past, but
Yeah.
but not in the first season. I never it never crossed my mind that Hakase would actually kill Aika. It never did. Like in the first season, at least.
For me, because I've seen a couple of like murder mysteries, and it's always like the characters that you don't expect. So I was just like, oh, okay, it was probably the princess. And then when I find out that Aika killed herself, I facepalmed, and I was just like, I should have seen this coming. You know what I mean? I should have, because although I was quite surprised to find out that she was the mage of Exodus.
No, but there's where this plot hole that I was referencing earlier comes about. Why? Okay, so Hakase went to the past and wanted to see how Aika died. Aika personally, I never expected a suicide, her to suicide herself. Hakase never killed her, although I do have to admit, and probably Kevin will agree with me here, I expected the fight between Aika and Hakase more epic. It was really disappointing, to say the least.
I don't think it needed to be. Honestly, I don't think the fight needed to be there. And I think that I have no issue with the fight.
But how Aika readily accepted that for Hakase to meet Mahiro and Yoshino, she has to die, and it was like she had no fear of death. And the plot hole here was okay. So if she committed suicide, like it kind of makes how do you, when she suicided, it was because she knew that Hakase, in order for Hakase to actually meet in the future with Mahiro and Yoshino, she wasn't going to do this whole time paradox thing in which Hakase wouldn't meet Yoshino and Mahiro. So my question is, when she when she committed suicide at the beginning, was she under that same reasoning? Like it made the suicide of Aika more confusing, I guess you would say.
Alright. Well, basically, in order to understand the timeline of this anime, it's not a conventional past, present, future timeline where everything in the past happened in the past, everything in the future happened in the future, and etc.
No, but hold on. Before you continue, I guess we can all agree here that before you continue, Kevin, we can all agree that if you change the past, you inevitably change the future. That's what a time paradox is.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. You're viewing it from the classical past, present, future timeline, right? Where, like in real life. However, what I think is the case in this anime is that past, present, and the future are they all coincide. They all happen at the same time, right? So basically, some things in the future can change the past and vice versa. It's not strictly the same timeline that we use in real life.
So what you're saying is essentially from what I understand, this may sound weird, but it's kind of like a can of dog food. That's how I'm thinking. I'm imagining it.
That's an interesting comparison.
No, because it's food, and the dog's gonna eat it, but you don't know what's inside it, and it's like everything there could be a lot of stuff that's in it at the same time, and you don't know what's happening. Kind of like what this time paradox thing is. You all know that all these parallel universes are going on at the same time, but you don't know anything about it.
No, funny story is that I believe I ate dog food when I was little. Thinking it was corned beef or something or something.
Dude.
No. My how do you say that in English? Oh my god, my grandparent, he was evil like that.
Was he trolling you?
Yeah, he was
hilarious.
trolling me when I was a kid.
Legend. That guy is a legend.
Well, rest in peace.
Did he make you?
He already passed away.
Did he make you eat all of it?
No. He told me that was corned beef.
Oh.
This
is why I love grandparents.
No, and since corned beef is something I would eat, but if it say it was dog food, I wouldn't eat it. It also happens with what do you call this fruit that's all orangey and stuff on the inside? Oh my god! Now I have to look at
This is odd because I can just imagine giving you a can with no label and telling you it's corned beef, and then you're eating.
Pumpkin. When I was a kid, I wouldn't eat pumpkin like if it was giving me too many slices. But what my aunt would do is that she would slice the pumpkin and then it would let it simmer in the beans. It gave it a very particular taste. I didn't know that I was eating pumpkin at the very moment. But I don't know why we're talking about food when we're supposed to be talking about time paradox.
It's related to the dog food situation. But we'll continue.
I think what Bish was trying to say in more normal terms
is
that
thanks.
It's kind of...
I see how it is, Kevin.
Well, it's not every day that people compare dog food to paradoxes. But
I have a very creative mind.
I don't know what kind of culture you guys have in Britain, but in Canada, that's considered...
I don't think British people think like me.
I can imagine Bish with his cup of tea and some biscuits and a monocle, just thinking of creative ideas to troll us both. And
I don't mean
like
sense
like
of
a
troll.
sir.
Wow, you're comparing me to a meme. For all intents and purposes, I am a meme. Let's continue.
Yes, let's.
Alright, so where were we?
Only I'm allowed to say lads.
Something about dog food, right?
Lads.
No, we're no longer talking about dog food. We're talking about parallel universes that you're bringing.
Okay, so but Tyson, do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Like, they're parallel universes, and it's not strictly that the present happens before the past, etc. They all happen at the same time, so therefore they can all affect each other.
I can understand. It's a very complex theory to think about, but it makes sense. Like if they're all going on at the same time.
It is complex, but it still doesn't make sense. How would something like that happen in the past? Like, okay, so you got a past. Someone from the future goes back into the past, and then because let's say Hakaze would have killed Aika, like that would have changed the future.
Yeah, but
if it's gonna change the future, but it's gonna make it how it is. It's like for instance, it's like going back into the past, knowing that there's a situation. One of my friends, Daniil, he's another shout out to him. I normally compare him to a teacher. One of my physics teachers, and I say that's you from the future. You just came back in the past to teach yourself, and it's because it's not because they're both like Asian. It's because they're both the same person essentially in terms of their personality and the jokes they make and whatever. And you can compare the two and whatever, but it makes so much sense. So he's going back in time. So Daniil from the future is going back in time to teach his past self to lead himself on to being a teacher. You see what I mean? It's that sense. You're going back in time to make something happen. Exactly. And the only way you can break that loop is if you go and do it. It's like a Bish from the future comes to tell Bish from the past, saying, Bish, you need to save the world. But then that means I, in the future, would have to go back to the past and tell past Bish, hey, you need to go and save the world, even though I'm in the present while it's happening.
Yeah.
So... although when I think about it, the whole parallel timelines thing was kind of hinted at when Hakaze was living in the past and everybody was living like 2 years later on.
Though I was scared of that, though. It was kind of...
I was too, for real, because she was actually counting the days. And until the end, I was thought, okay, so she has been stuck on that island for 2 months. That's mostly reasonable. Like, if there's food on the island, she can survive. And then when things started to get fishy is when Junichiro said that he saw her skeleton.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, so what is going on here?
Yeah, that confused me, and I was like, oh, hey, this guy's a magician, like Salmon or Salmon or Sam, whatever his name is, Salmon.
Salmon.
Wow. So, Salmon.
He's not pleased. He's not pleased.
Well,
right?
I swear to God, I kept on calling him Somo for the first 12 episodes because Somo in French means salmon, and I didn't know that it was Samo and not Somo.
Oh my God, bitch! Look at what you done.
But
it started with dog food, and then now we're talking about salmon.
It's all right.
What the hell is this?
It's okay. It's okay, Tyson. It's okay.
We're just
Calm down.
advertising different types of foods.
And then there's just like a sushi advert in the middle.
Getting more complicated than the timeline of the show because we're going everywhere.
But then, and then Kevin from the future comes and tells us that.
No,
Yes.
Tyson from the future says you have to cook. Get this discussion over with. And he was like, slap me in the face.
But the thing is, I've seen a Japanese gaming podcast where the main host is actually cooking something new each week while he's recording. It's very interesting. Last week he was talking about
Well, I am planning of doing pork steak. It should be thawed by now. I'll just have to cook it.
We're gonna have Tyson cook his pork chops or steak or something. I don't know.
No, they're not pork chops. They're pork chops.
All right.
I hope it's delicious.
It is.
If it isn't,
hopefully I won't go overboard on the seasoning.
because if you do, you could ruin it. You could genuinely ruin it.
I still eat it, but I would be lamenting the fact that it's too salty.
Question: that sounds so wrong. Your meat. Do you like it medium rare or well done? Because personally, I enjoy my meat.
I like well done. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Gotta eat more meat. Yeah, GA.
Tyson, I think you mentioned at some point that Aika seemed a bit fearless and she's kind of like accepting her fate, right?
Yeah.
But I think that kind of fits with her character. I mean, especially with the explanation at the end of the anime where she says she's just like an actor in a play. She must follow the scripts, and it doesn't matter if she dies as long as make a beautiful exit, right? So I think that her personality, she's a very caring character, and she would rather sacrifice herself to protect Mahiro and the people that are close to her.
At first, I was like, oh, she's doing this to save the whole world. And then, as you mentioned now, she's just doing it to save 2 people. And, if I had that responsibility of saving the whole world, like sacrificing myself to save the whole world, I would be like, yeah, I'm saving the whole world, not I'm saving 2 people. I find it's kind of selfish in some way, because she's only saving the people. She's only doing it for the people that she wants to save. She doesn't really care about everyone else.
I'll quote here.
It's the fact that Aika felt that she belonged with Mahiro and Yoshino. Like, she even explains to herself that the magician at Setsuen is not supposed to live the life that Aika did, and she feels big, and she feels very grateful. And in a way, she was happy to die for them. But even so, that's where the whole parallel timelines thing kind of fell off, because when Hakaze said that the only reason she met Yoshino Mahiro was because she died, and she readily accepts that. It's like she's not afraid of death or anything. That would scare me, to be honest, to have someone from the future say to me, like, the whole the whole thing about I cannot be surprised when Hakaze went into the past. It began to seem fishy to me, because normally someone would be scared to see you came from the future. What the hell?
But the thing is, because I think another thing is it's because she is the mage of Exodus, so even she can do magic. So a lot of things she might not be phased by a lot of things. She might say, okay, you're from the future, I can do magic. What doesn't really scare me that you're from the future and you're coming to warn me. You know what I mean? Because she's probably already used to it. She's accepted that she can use the magic and whatever, so she's probably used to all these other things. But in terms of being afraid of death and whatever, in terms of her character, she might be. That's something we don't know, whether she's afraid of death or not. But it's her love for the 2 characters that make her overcome that.
What if Hakaze actually made her during her fight with Aika, made her stall, like, let's say a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes before the time where she supposedly committed suicide?
It doesn't. I don't think it's at the exact time that she needs to kill herself now. I think she could have killed herself maybe even 10 minutes before Mahiro arrived. It wouldn't make a difference.
No, because Mahiro arrived in the morning. That's when he noticed that.
It doesn't matter, because
But wasn't a police report made something aware of her estimated time of death? or something.
It
I
doesn't.
can't. I can't
But that's a small detail in terms of this whole big thing. It doesn't really. It's irrelevant when she died. She just needed to die. You see what I mean? So even if she stalled her, as long as she didn't stall her from dying, you know, she could have died essentially at any time, as long as it was before the time that Mahiro would have arrived.
I'm still I'm still kind of confused with the whole parallel.
Okay, let me explain something, Tyson. It's something that was explained within the anime. They've even realized that a lot of people will kind of misunderstand or not even understand at all. They've even said this. They said, well, you know, it's magic. What do you expect? They've said this multiple times. You know, it's not, if you have an anime where it's based around magic, which is a very hard concept to understand to begin with. It shouldn't be that difficult to kind of explain other things. And yes, it is an important plot device and whatever. Essentially, they could just blame everything. Oh, it was magic. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of what they're doing here. They're saying, well, we could do magic. Nothing is impossible in that sense.
It feels lazy nonetheless, but
it does feel lazy, but it's this how it is. And you know, I don't think it would work otherwise. If we try and apply logic to the situation,
you can't apply logic
exactly.
to this thing.
You can't.
I mean, you're watching an anime where there's a bunch of magic and there's time travel. Like, do you really expect a realistic approach? I mean, it can be realistic, but it can only be realistic to the extent of the anime, you know, of the magic theme.
Yeah, I suppose I'm overlooking way into it, but let's just move on. I believe you have more questions.
Me?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So, what do you think about the Shakespearean theme? About like, what do you think about the themes of Hamlet, of the Tempest? What do you think about those? Do you think that they were very cool? If they affected your enjoyment in any way, did they make you want to know more about the Hamlet and the Tempest, or is it just eh?
I have some interesting opinions. Because of the British school system, we are taught most of these stories, especially Hamlet. I've actually went to see Hamlet. It was a pretty boring story, honestly, and I don't remember much of it, but I just remember learning it. The Tempest was something that we never really touched upon in school, especially in the British school system, especially because we're in London. The Globe Theatre's right there. Well, it's not right there. I don't live right next to the Globe, but you know, that was Shakespeare's theatre. I should technically know everything about it, according to you guys' stereotypes.
It would be very un-British-like.
It would be, but back to the point. There was something incredibly poetic about it, incredibly beautiful, and it leads me it's very amazing, especially how, you know, they're similar stories, but one is tragedy and one is a happy ending in that sense. And yeah, it's like a conflicting thing, because you know, sometimes you're thinking, oh, this is going to be more like Hamlet, or this is going to be more like Tempest. There's moments in the anime where it can go either way, and that's lovely about it. Another thing is that she keeps on quoting it. There's something very eerie about it, very morbid, and I have to say, I enjoy that. Just to some people, if someone saw a girl that was quoting Hamlet, if I saw that on the street, I would think, wow, that's incredibly amazing. But others might think, you're a freak, dude, just get away from me. Because really, no one reads that stuff anymore. I'm surprised people can even read today. Trust me, if you see the school systems here, they're not the best. But it's, you know, it's something that a normal person wouldn't do, and it's quite beautiful, like I said. And even the way that she dies kind of ties in a similar fashion. There's something morbidly beautiful about even the way she dies, you know? She's just there on her chair, and she looks like she's sleeping very peacefully. And even the way the blood is patterned on the floor, it's incredibly beautiful. I know it sounds very morbid of me to say this, and many people might find it insensitive or whatever, but I still, there's some beauty even in her death. And I think it wouldn't have been there if they didn't use this whole Shakespeare plays as this plot device in this sense.
Yeah, I think so too. I honestly really enjoyed the themes of with the two plays, and I think it's probably one of the main things that kept me interested, that kind of that pushed me to continue watching this anime and to marathon it. It's the different themes in it, like all the characters, like every single character in this anime is based off of someone in the play, and it just makes you think, is this a Tempest, or will it end like Hamlet, right? And you see all of these connections, and it's something that really makes it enjoyable. And one thing I'd like to point out before I finish here is that if I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the first 12 episodes are in essence Hamlet, and this last 12 are in essence The Tempest.
Yeah, you do raise a good point, especially when when he starts to kind of quote Tempest, when Yoshino starts to quote the Tempest, and he's talking about the whole magician on an island, and I'm like, whoa.
I'm like, oh, mindfuck.
Exactly, and I'm like, wow. It didn't make me want to read The Tempest, because there are some animes where it makes me want to go and do the thing that it's based off. This anime didn't make me want to go and read The Tempest or go read Hamlet, because they are incredibly boring, especially like Old English. It's very, it's very difficult to understand.
But it's so gentlemanlike, though. I mean, it's so.
It is. I would be reading it in a tea house.
But remember, we already took Bish Sir card away.
Because I said
Dude,
I like
this
KFC. Oh my god, Jesus.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, we don't mean to offend any British people, so please don't. No, I'm serious here. We're not mocking British people or anything. I'm a Canadian. I love British people. Not in another way though. Don't take that the wrong way.
I love British people. Wow.
Yeah, it's just tongue-in-cheek joke. That's
alright. It's alright. Yeah. I think it's okay. It's people know that we're not really making fun of British people. I myself, being British, am awesome, and if you're British, you're awesome as well. Just putting that out there. If you're actually drinking tea while you're listening to this, you're a boss. No matter what tea it is, and no matter where in the world you are. Even if you're in China and you're drinking, like, I don't know what tea people drink in China.
green tea, I guess.
Ryan, do you remember that time? Do you remember that time when I owned you? When I owned you so bad?
What?
This is sounding like it sounds like someone else is in the room and he's whispering into Tyson's ear.
No, it's actually
That was a reference.
Oh, was it?
It was a reference, yeah.
Oh, I thought there was going to be some sort of hentai scene that moves on from here.
Okay.
And an octopus flies from the window.
I'll be posting a link to this shortly, but for the audience that may not know, one of the promotions for Call of Duty Ghosts was based around humiliation, and one guy at work, like apparently they were buddies like online, and then he came to his destiny behind with a cup of hot water and a tea bag, and he was teabagging the cup while say humiliating things like in whisper form, something like that. I humiliated you. You're a noob.
No,
You're never gonna see me. Never.
That's kind of creepy. If you would have someone, imagine on the bus, it just goes up to you, or if you're on the train like I am now. I'm not really on the train. That's just an ongoing joke, guys. But imagine that. That would be really creepy. I don't know what I would do in a situation like that. Would I be shocked? I can't run away because I'll be on the bus. I would just have to sit down and accept it that that's happening. That some random person is whispering into my ear, saying some really weird things. I would think they're probably crazy. But anyway, that's Activision's marketing there. Yeah. No, but seriously, let's get back onto topic.
I wanted to add myself to the uncultured swine crowd because it didn't really make me want to read either Hamlet or The Tempest. I'm not.
Okay.
Well, I didn't want to read it either, but I mean, like, the question was, did it help? Like, did it increase your interest in the play, or did it make it more enjoyable, or is it just,
No, I just basically went through the whole story. Okay, so apparently the guy who wrote this was a fan of Shakespeare. That's all.
Not necessarily. I don't think that maybe he was a fan of Shakespeare or not. Because it seems that they've done it in a way so that one of their characters are a fan of Shakespeare. I don't think I would go as far to say as, yeah, the person who wrote this anime and wrote this manga was a fan of Shakespeare. I think that's too bold of a statement.
Why else would you reference something like?
Well, remember, Tyson, that this is, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, this is all about revenge, right? The main theme of this show is revenge. So I guess that since Shakespeare is like probably arguably the most famous author who has ever lived.
No, but Tales of Revenge have been done in anime. This is not something exactly new. It's just that it's giving a Shakespearean theme.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean,
but the most I could think of, like, again with the uncultured swine thing, like, all I could think of is that the creator of this series was just a fan of Shakespeare. Because how else would you? Why else would you reference?
I think what it is because, especially because this was aired to a Japanese audience first, and there will be people who are like high school people listening to this and whatever in Japanese high schools and whatever. They teach them Shakespeare, and it's an ongoing thing. Mm-hmm. There's many animes that I've seen Shakespeare references, whether it is Romeo and Juliet or whatever, and I think it's a lot of animes do it, and I think they're following the trend in that sense, but they're doing it in a different way, because a lot of animes that I've seen tend to quote Romeo and Juliet, because that's just the most popular. Everyone knows that, but not everyone knows about the Tempest. Honestly, I didn't know that existed. I knew about Hamlet, but I didn't know about Tempest, and for all intents and purposes, it was a complete new story to me. Like, they could have told me something else and I would have believed it. You know, they're doing it in a different way. I don't think necessarily the author of this manga and the anime, I don't think they were necessarily fans of Shakespeare. I think they're probably doing it because they know their main audience and they want to not innovate, they want to kind of do something new with their content.
I do agree with that point, but hey, it's what I felt with the whole Shakespearean theme going for it. I wanna raise a point up. I think it was episode 18 when Yoshino confesses to Hakaze about Aika being his girlfriend.
Oh, the feels.
What do you thought about? I actually cried when that happened.
Basically, I think that was a very emotional scene too. It was quite a shocker. I didn't cry, but it did hit me in the feels. I still feel it, but yeah, it really develops Yoshino's character. After that scene, I think I understood Yoshino a lot more, because before that scene, you're like, well, I thought of Yoshino as like, he's kind of emotionless. Why is he so indifferent to everything that's going on in the anime? Why is he so, careless sort of thing?
But didn't it explain that that technically Mahiro and Yoshino aren't friends when their backstory was explained in episode 4?
No, I mean, like, what I mean to say is that, why is he so indifferent? I mean, his girlfriend died. Why isn't he more sad? Why is he just so, like, he's not showing a lot of emotion to all this crazy things that are happening to him? And after that, you kind of discover that it was all of his feelings are hidden behind this facade, right? Because he finds that everything's pointless now, because, and I quote, even if he cries, nothing will change. He doesn't have a purpose,
I think it hit me directly because all I could think about is I'm gonna sound cruel here. If there would be only a few of my relatives' death that I would actually cry. And I've been thinking all this time about the throughout death of my mom, and how I would be devastated. Like, I would be crying nonstop if I ever were to find out that she died, and it still scares me even to today. But when it comes to other people in my family, I wouldn't be as affected as I would, or devastated as I would be with the death of my mom. Like, she means something, but she means something to me. Like, she made me the man I am today. For better or worse, but I kind of but in those 5 minutes or so that scene lasted, I saw a lot of myself in Yoshino. That's why kind of it hit me hard, and it also didn't help that I was thinking of how would I react when my mom died. If it was, and probably if that were the case, I would also find out via the phone, just like Yoshino did when he knew that Aika was dead. So yeah, I think the image that created me was kind of hard.
Well, for me, I'm gonna sound like a insensitive bastard here by saying this, but I didn't feel any sort of emotion by watching that. I have to say, probably because I've been not desanitized. What's the word? desensitized
Mhm.
for deaths in anime, especially because after this one scene, I'm not going to say from which anime it is, but a little kid dies, and the feels in that is from a different anime. I'm not going to say which anime, but if you ever watch it, you'll feel the pain I felt. But it was like the most emotional moment in my life. Anyway, but what I'm gonna say is that I didn't really feel that any sort of emotion in that sense. I didn't feel any sort of regret. Didn't really relate to any of those characters at that moment. To me, it was just a normal situation. He's just explaining, hey, I've there was moments where I found it hilarious when he was saying, "Oh, so how was she? Did she have a nice personality?" And he was like, "Oh no, she didn't have a nice personality, and she was flat chested." That made me, no matter how serious the situation was, I was just laughing out loud.
I think that wasn't supposed to be really serious as well. I
It,
don't like that's more of like I think maybe like a joke and at the same time like a foreshadow.
but I think the more emotional moment was when Yoshino is tells the princess that his girlfriend. Well, he actually shows a picture of his girlfriend. That's when I felt some sort of feeling. I was just like, whoa. And then you see from his facade is kind of broken. He let his guard down when the princess is asking more questions. And then his eyes open really wide, and he looks you see his true self. You see that his emotions are eating him up on the inside because he's not releasing them. He hasn't really come to terms with it, and then he's become more of a 3D character in that sense. Like I don't know, I've started to respect him a lot more after seeing that one scene where his eyes open really widely and he realizes that he was emotionless for this whole time.
Yeah, I had to agree with that as well. And even himself, he admitted that being in the grave with where Aika was buried, it was also kind of hard on him. But there was no reference of that throughout the anime, so it kind of builds up on the whole emotionless thing.
Mhm.
But not only I saw myself in that scene, but like Bish, I also began to respect him, so to speak. And I guess in a way I saw the friendship between Yoshino and Mahiro, or non-friendship. I don't know. I don't know how would either of those call it, but I kind of saw it in a different light.
Mm.
And I don't know if that was. I don't know if he was around because Aika asked him to, because it was referenced that the in the Mahiro's it's kind of like the brain and the bronze, and Yoshino would be the brains, and so that's kind of like that's more or less what I felt really throughout the whole anime. And at the end, I guess the only reason why Yoshino stuck was because asked him to. I don't know.
I have a question. Just I don't know if I'm the only one who felt this, but for the last few episodes of anime, I really felt some pity and sadness for Hakaze because I really felt like she was getting the short end of the stick and everything. I mean, I think it was a semi-dick move on part of the studio to like basically the second half of the season they're telling everyone to ship Yoshino and the princess, right? But then towards the last few episodes, I feel like she's getting the short end of the stick and everything. I mean,
Indeed, but I think the animation studio and I think the author of this anime is kind of a dick as well because he or she does that all the time. There's moments where you think that yes, it's deceptive. You're being led into thinking this is going to happen, and then something completely different happens. Like you said, you're being led that you want to ship these two characters together, but that doesn't work out. And then obviously the other moment when they go back in time and that whole thing near the trees when they were trying to convince each other when they were trying to convince Mahiro which side to go on. It's you're being led into different choices, and the one that they lead you into is not the right one. And then they're like, oh, see, you shouldn't have believed us in the beginning. That's how I feel, and I feel that's the ultimate dick move. But it keeps us on our toes. You know what I mean? It's because if we were to know what would happen next, it doesn't make it as interesting. And that's the reason I continued. I wanted to know what if I was thinking was correct or not. Not mainly because, and that wasn't the reason I actually thoroughly enjoyed the anime. If they didn't have that, I don't think I would have enjoyed the anime at all.
There's a lot of ambiance and suspense in the anime, which I think exactly. And yeah, but like especially since in that same scene where Yoshino kind of broke down, I felt kind of bad for Hakaze because she confessed, and it's like she's trying to tell him that she loves him, but at the same time she can't, right? Because that would mess things up for everyone, and it's like you just feel I just felt bad for her, you know, and especially at the end.
I did, and at that moment, I really did feel bad for her because she knows she won't be able to go with him, especially after seeing him break down like that. I honestly was it her right of her to actually confess after he's breaking down like that? No, I think it's selfish, but it's obviously her right to do that. But in my mind, I'm like, wow. Honestly, what was the purpose of me? If it was me, like if I was Hakaze, I wouldn't do that. Like even if I loved him, I would be like, okay, I'll keep that to myself. Although it's her right as a human being to kind of have her emotions and kind of release them, or else she would be like Yoshino in that sense if she kept those emotions hidden and things. Yeah.
Is that?
So yeah, I just wanted to talk about character development and character design and the animation style of the anime. For me personally, I've seen animes that were similarly like looking. I would say probably Haganai. To me, it reminded me of Haganai in terms of its animation style. Of course, Haganai is completely different compared to this. It's like high school. It's like university and kindergarten comparison. You know what I mean? But it was really nice character design. I think there were certain characters that did look like other characters from different anime. One of them is Megumu Hanamura, has the same jacket as Yosuke Hanamura from Persona 4. Ironically, they have the same surnames. Are they related? Maybe, maybe not. They are both kind of they are similar characters in a sense, but Megumu's just an idiot. Just putting that out there. I think for the animation studio and for the people who make the story to have, I think they've done really well in terms of character development and kind of creating a character like Megumu. For me to hate him that much, I have to say it's well done to them. Another thing, what do you guys think about the characters and animation styles?
Before I start my thing, I'll just ask you a question. Do you think that maybe no matter how slim the chances, do you think maybe it's a reference, like Hanemura's character in this is a reference to the other character?
To Yosuke Hanamura? Considering, I think it's a coincidence. They are, in terms of their clothing, they are quite similar. Especially Yosuke's coat looks exactly the same as Megumu's coat, bar different. There's certain differences, but their names as well. It's a popular name, I'm guessing. I don't think it's a reference specifically to Persona, considering that they are completely different things. Both of them, ironically, are both about murder mysteries, but I don't think it's a reference.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
Me neither. I just think it's a coincidence, really.
All right. But yeah, moving on to my thoughts on the animation and characters, I think the animation was pretty solid. And honestly, even though I'm a big manga fan, I think this is one of the rare cases where I actually prefer the art from the anime to the art from the manga. I think it was more well done in the anime, and yeah, it does remind me of a few other shows. But yeah, and regarding characters, I think the cast was like the main cast was pretty solid, but there are a few inconsistencies in the side characters, like Fraulein Yamamoto and Mr. Useless, whatever his face was, Hanemura. There you go. But the main cast, I really liked them. I mean, especially my favorite male character. I think it's dead tie between Mahiro and Yoshino. I mean, Mahiro, I really liked him because I was just kind of in awe about how, not crazy, but like how vengeful he was. He was just filled with so much hate, and he would just do everything in his power to avenge Aika. And that was something that, I don't know, kind of caught my attention.
I understand that. Essentially, they are like polar opposites and whatnot. But for me, he's the typical badass character, you know? Like the fact that he wanted to kill the person who killed Aika. That was I can't imagine someone wanting to do that. Although there are people, but still, he's like you said, he's filled with a lot of hate, and the other character Yoshino is you know, he's kind of filled with love in that sense. Like he's not doing anything out of revenge or anything like that.
Yeah, it's pretty much when he explains to Hakaze that if what would change if I was filled with rage or
If I strangled you to death.
It's again exactly. I for one. Do you guys found ironic that even amidst all this fuel for revenge that Mahiro had, he was still very, very logical. Like that's the least I would expect from someone who plans to get revenge at all costs. Like
Yeah.
it threw me off at times because this guy acting trying to make sense of all stuff, and I seriously thought while watching the first part of the anime, the ones based on Hamlet, that I actually thought this guy would just get consumed by revenge, and then Yoshino would have to kill him or something as an act of their friendship or so. Because it's one of those rare instances in which when someone is he's blinded by revenge, but he's not completely blinded by revenge. I don't know if I'm making any sense right now.
It's like you said, it's not like complete blind revenge, because he would have went on a killing spree. And you do see it at the beginning when he's having the fight with the mage with the spear. He does go all out. But you know, afterwards, I think throughout the anime you see him progress, and you see him like kind of gradually get over it. You know, he doesn't resort to, you know, thinking about killing someone.
It's I don't know how it also felt jarring how he brushed it off once he knew that Aika committed suicide, and then how Megumu was the one that flipped his shit out and punched both.
Yeah, that's another reason I don't like Megumu. It's like he doesn't like what made him want to do that. I can understand if Salmon wanted to do that was fine. But I don't think Megumu has the right.
I think it all falls in line with his character, to be honest. Like listen me out for a moment, because Megumu was the one that not only pointed Mahiro for having a sister complex when actually Mahiro liked Aika, and he was actually fearful that or not Megumu, like pretty much everyone else in the room was fearful that because Mahiro had this sister complex and he liked Aika, that when Yoshino would confess to Mahiro, they feared that things would get ugly.
Yeah.
And but going back to his character, like, okay, so he's the one that figured out that Aika was dating Yoshino. It kind of like, I for one felt that it fall in line, because he feels strongly like Megumu was upset to a certain extent, or upset, jealousy, I don't know how you guys want to call it, but the fact that both of them were so like emotionless.
Yeah.
I don't know. Although at first when Mahiro flipped out at the fact that Aika was dating Yoshino, he was expressing concern, and then when Aika committed suicide, then he was angry at them, but I don't know.
That's a good point, Tyson. But I think I have to agree with Bish here that I was like, I would make a link between how I felt in this scene with the scene with Rei and Rin from Free. I was like, you have no fucking right to do what you're doing. It's just get out of here. Like,
if it was another character, I would understand.
Yeah, I mean,
but he has no right barging in there and saying, hey, you know, this guy is banging your sister, essentially. Well, we don't know if they're banging, but
how vulgar.
you know, that's how it felt. It felt vulgar to me. Like, who would say that? I know he's trying to be brave, and he's trying to be like, yeah, look at me, I'm Megumu, the badass. But it
Senpai
backfires.
notice me.
Yes, he's just doing that because he wants to be noticed and because no one likes him.
Yeah.
And
I
because
mean,
his girlfriend dumped him. Like, he can get
the-
another girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's
In
another
the
thing.
case of Hakaze and Yoshino, I think Hakaze actually had like a reason to like confess to Yoshino and be just upset as to why Yoshino isn't displaying any emotion, why he isn't crying.
The reason is that is because
She loves him.
that's not just that. It's the reason is because Hakaze is actually a legitimate character. Megumu isn't, so he has no right. Even if Megumu like wins a Nobel Prize for something or provides internet free access across the whole world or something like that, I will not respect him anymore than anyone else.
But hey, Megumu was the one who saved the world from the threat that.
Okay.
But no one's gonna care.
I'm gonna say something, Tyson. I'm gonna say something. All right, this is how I honestly feel about Megumu. All right, he is just an unimportant character cast in an important role. You could have replaced the Megumu with any other side character and
Indeed.
put them as a mage of Exodus.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have made a difference.
You could have put Yoshino as the mage of
Yes,
Exodus. That's what I
exactly.
thought it was going to be, and that would have been completely badass. And I'm like, yeah, that would have made so much sense. But no, you make this guy, this loser. I hope people aren't offended. I myself am a loser, but this guy, look at him. I just look at him and I feel bad for him. You know,
He wins Nobel Prize of like most unimportant characters.
Why would he even be given
actually-
a Nobel Prize?
Actually, that would go to Sakura, but never mind. You get the point.
But yeah, anyway, another thing I wanted to mention was shipping.
Yes.
Yes, so yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I wanted to know who you guys ship. Personally, I don't ship Aika and Yoshino. I rather ship. There's something in me that ships Aika and the princess. That's
Oh
me.
my god.
That's me. That's what I think. I think they would make a perfect couple.
Were you watching lesbian porn before recording this
No,
podcast?
no. I
bitch?
think no. Honestly, I think it's because they're two not polar opposites, and especially after that fight scene, I was just like, they need to hook up. They need to be in a relationship. That's what I think personally. Another thing is because that they're both. One of them is. I just want to see what would happen if they. What would the two trees do when they find out that the mage of Exodus and the mage of Genesis are in this relationship together? I want to know.
I am so fucking uncomfortable right now.
What would they
he's
do?
He's basically suggesting that there's a Rule 34 on trees. Really?
No, I don't mean like that. I mean because they were the ones that appointed the mages. What would happen? Would they get angry? Would they try and kill all existence because of that? I don't know. I want to know what would happen. And would they join forces and be like, "Hey, you don't need to die. I can help you out and whatever." They're both magicians. Think about it. Another thing. Anyway, it's irrelevant. That's my opinion. Another ship I would say is. This is everyone probably who if there's a tag on Tumblr, this ship exists. Yoshino and Mahiro. I think
What the fuck?
Yes, yes. Especially considering their circumstances and how they met each other, I think that could blossom into a beautiful romance.
I mean, Mahiro is tsundere, right? Maybe he just didn't admit his feelings for Yoshino. We could never know. But
and guys. Yoshino thought Mahiro butt naked. That's fuel for the shipping fire.
It is, but
Guys.
another thing is it kind of reminds me of the relationship. I'm gonna go back to Free here, but this is my only supporting thing. It reminds me of the relationship between Haru and Rin, in that sense. That's what I think, because essentially they're both competing against each other. They both like the same.
Since you're so obsessed with Free, I will make sure I will suggest Eternal Summer when it's done.
Yeah, do
yourselves.
that. Do that.
Free is coming.
Brace yourself. Free's coming back.
But
Soon.
But I have loads more ships where that come from. I would say Also, the princess and salmon. I think that's. I
Maybe
think
incest to a certain extent, since they're in the same clan. I mean, I
But
think they would share the same bloodline.
are they related?
That would again, but if they're in the same clan, isn't that called incest or something? It's like it's like me having a relationship with my cousin or something.
Yeah, but it's a
Incest-
clan, though. It's not a
incest-
family.
Well,
But
clan
that's the
family.
thing.
What's the difference?
That's the thing. Are they related? We weren't really. Are we told that they're? If they are, then I take back that ship. And
Yes, again, yes, because I remember you clearly expressing disgust.
yes,
at-
I find
at-
those kind of things disgusting. But I was just Another thing is I would ship the blonde kid and. I'm all full.
And
I'm full of
Nagisa,
ships
yes.
again.
Junichiro?
Yes, and the princess, they would make a beautiful couple, and I think they would have amazing children.
I actually approve of that ship. I
Yes.
approve of that ship.
And another ship I have is, I forgot her name. The girl,
Eventually,
Yes, her. Yes, the one with the cat suit. Her, I think
Okay.
her, and also I forgot his name now.
That's
Yoshino. Her and Yoshino. I think they could
that's
make.
a weird ship.
Whoa.
But it works. I think it works,
Hang on.
especially considering that they have this kind of tight relationship. I don't. Maybe for like a fling or something, or a booty call, maybe. But in terms of a full-on relationship, I don't think that would probably be. I don't think it would probably be successful in that sense.
Like-
But yeah.
But if they take into consideration that she's 30 and Yoshino is like still last year of high school, so there's
Yeah,
a considerable
It's
age
still,
gap.
it's still
Okay,
still legal.
According to the wiki, he's 16.
What the?
Um,
Wait, what?
It's still legal.
According to
It's still legal in the UK.
Are you gonna come to me seriously saying that a 16-year-old having sex with a 28-year-old
Okay.
it has no moral consequence for you?
He never
No.
said sex. He just said ship.
I said, I did say a one night stand, or booty call. So that does imply sex. But no, I don't think I don't think that is an issue. That they're both legal. They can do what they want. But it's each country to its own. Legal age here is 16. Probably by the end of the anime, he's how old now? Because there is a couple of months that pass. So he's probably 17.
Probably 17, yeah.
Yeah, so he's probably 17. And there's a lot worse. And I keep on going back to this. There are kids that are getting like pregnant at like 14 in this country. So
That's basically
which is illegal. So if it's legal and that both parties are consenting, and his parents aren't gonna say anything either, because I'm not sure what happened to them. Did they die from the black iron syndrome thing?
I
Okay.
guess so.
We weren't really told whether his parents were murdered or whether but we know that they're not there anymore. So they're not gonna say anything.
I believe Mahiro's parents were murdered, and Yoshino's parents fell victim to the Black Iron Syndrome.
Okay, cool.
If that's a guess, that's not if that hasn't been mentioned in the anime how they died, but
Well, we know that Mahiro still has, I think it was a father, and Aika had her mother, right? I think at least one of the parents is still alive.
Yes, Aika's parents are obviously, because she's adopted. So assuming her parents would still be alive.
Yeah.
In that sense.
And this is, speaking of the one night stand between Fraulein and Yoshino, this is where we go back to the PSA from the free episode, I believe, where we talking about Get a Life podcast kunai condoms. So
We should do that. I think we should also have our own brand of like a hentai,
oh my god.
where we just ship. Someone needs to do this. Take our ships and make them reality.
And remember, if you have any fanfics that you want to send them to Tyson.
Tyson,
Oh my
exactly.
God.
I won't give his email, but you can send it to me and I'll forward it straight to Tyson.
Yep.
And I'll make sure he'll read them all
Out loud.
Oh my
out loud,
god.
and we'll record it. And yeah, we'll
Oh
make
my
it. We'll make it a special episode. As many fanfics you want to send, If you send us like 5 fanfics, we'll do a whole episode about it. Just Tyson reading fanfics in a British, and he has to do a British accent while he's.
He has to role play them too.
Oh no, that's too.
Oh no!
He can't roleplay if there's no other person there.
Or he can act with the characters, you know, like do different accents or
Oh,
something.
he could, yeah. You could do that. So how's your Megamoo accent, Tyson? Because I'm hoping there's some sort of fan fiction with him.
Right now, I'm writing my resignation letter to the Get a Life podcast kunai. This is too weird of a shit for me. I'm about to mail it to Bish, and don't expect me in the next episode. See you guys.
It sounds like you're tapping your desk rather than typing.
Tapping his desk. I thought you said talking to his desk.
No, he's doing this. But Tyson, you never told us about your ships. Come on.
I don't watch a show with the whole purpose of figuring out who are my ships.
Everyone's got one.
But exactly, everyone does have a ship. It's like a guilty pleasure.
It doesn't have to be guilty, but it can be a pleasure.
Oh yeah, definitely. You're on the right wavelength there. It's indeed okay. Just pick one.
I don't have any ship. I'm just gonna leave the shipping segment to you two.
He's being so tsundere right now.
Kawaii. Okay, what do you think, Kevin? Ships. I hope we share ships here.
I'm so sorry, but alright, so first ship here is between Nagisa and Hanemura.
No. You can't take ships from outside anime. It doesn't work like that. And especially you can't ship Nagisa with anyone else but the people in 3. Okay? I'm not gonna say this another time. Nagisa is there's only certain people you can ship Nagisa with. Okay? No, you don't joke about that kind of stuff. Nagisa is very important to the podcast, okay? Nagisa is what the podcast is based around. He's like the deity for the podcast.
Oh my god.
You see what I mean? There's a shrine.
Nagisa in real life.
I am indeed Nagisa in real life. I am a 16-year-old blonde kid who speaks Japanese and swims. Apparently. Yep. And I'm really cute. So ladies, you can email me get-a-life@outlook.com. If you really want to, please don't email me. I don't want these kind of emails. Especially people that are thinking that I actually indeed look like Nagisa. There are some people that have seen what I've looked like, and I'll tell you now, I don't look like Nagisa. just saying, I do not look like anything like him. Although it would be nice to look like him. Imagine that, looking like Nagisa, walking out in the street. It'd be like, hey guys, it's me.
God.
I'm super cute. If you looked exactly like Nagisa, wouldn't you want to go out into the street and just show it off to the world? That, hey, I'm Nagisa, bitches.
I just thought of something. You just put an image in my mind. I'm just picturing Nagisa and Itachi fanfics now. Holy crap.
No. No. The only fanfics that should happen is Nagisa and Mugi-chan.
Tyson.
Come on.
No.
Your tears are delicious.
No.
Alright, but going back to my ship. My serious ship is... Pardon me for having a ship, which I think everyone else probably has, but Hakaze and Yoshino, okay? That
was disappointing.
I'm sorry to disappoint.
They lead you into that ship.
I know, but that's why you ship it so hard. It's because they just seem so perfect.
I thought you were gonna come up with something weird. I thought you had potential, but it seems like you don't.
Well, I'm so sorry.
No, you've disappointed me. You hear this? This is genuine disappointment.
That was an interesting talk about ships.
It was.
Alright, and I think we're near the end.
We are near the end. Another thing is the intros and outros music. Oh, I wanted to talk about
music
this.
in general, yeah.
Yes, music in general, amazing. Best music in an anime, and I think it actually works. Unlike Free, like sorry, Free fans. The music in Free makes no sense, but you can go see the last episode and understand why. But the music here, there was a piece of music for every scene. I'm not sure if they reused music. I doubt they did. I couldn't tell if they did or not. I was so immersed in that. It really added to it, and I think if each piece of music fit each scene perfectly, whether it was emotional, whether it was an action scene, whether it was these really depressing moments as well. I don't know. It was very beautiful, and I think the music, if it wasn't there, it would change the course of the anime as well.
It wouldn't make a huge difference. I agree. Like the feels, just the music complements the show so well. It's one of those shows where it's like it's not just there. The music, when I'm watching the show, I stop it and I'm like, hey, what's that music? I want to search it up and listen to it. You know, it's just that good.
For me, it's not something I would listen to every day. It wouldn't be like, oh, this is my soundtrack for like working out or something, because I don't work out. But it wouldn't be something like that. Although it would be more of like, I can appreciate it for the anime. I wouldn't personally listen to it, but it's incredibly beautiful. That's all I have to say. Tyson?
Sorry, what was that?
Music.
Oh, music. I will say that at work we listen nothing but classical music. So I particularly didn't enjoy that the fact that this anime also had classical music. Although, yes, it does fit the mood. Yes, there's a track for everything. But consider my situation where I spend 6 hours, probably 25 hours of the week at least, listening to nothing but classical music. Yes, I'm sick of it.
Yeah,
okay, that's understandable. Another thing I wanted to mention is that, you know, overall.
Can I already finish the music or?
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to say that I further review myself as an uncultured swine. I will get hate on my Twitter. Something like that.
Probably, but probably not. I think everyone's entitled to their opinions, and if people don't like it, then they don't like it. That's all I have to say. But what I was gonna say now is for me, it's just like, I've already given my gripe, and I think most of this episode was just gripes about this anime. So I don't think we should say our gripes. But what I do have to say is, overall, I think if you guys are gonna go watch this anime for the first time or whatever, give it a try. It's a incredibly beautiful anime. And I think you might learn some things about life and about other things. It may not necessarily impact your life in a certain way, but you learn a lot just by watching this anime. And it's incredibly beautiful and something to appreciate. That's all I have to say. What do you guys think?
For me, I think that there are evidently downsides of this anime. It's not perfect 10 out of 10 anime of the generation, right? But obviously, I think that in spite of its downfalls, in spite of its negative attributes, I think that it just does so much right that I can forgive those mistakes. I mean, from the music, me being a huge fan of orchestral music, I really enjoyed it, and I especially like how it was so well connected with all the scenes and to the plot, the characters. I overall really enjoyed it, even though there's a few things, it's a bit rough around the edges at some points. I still think overall it's good.
What about you, Tyson? Your final impressions?
This is not the type of anime I would recommend someone to watch if they're new to anime. I think it has a lot of complex themes, but I guess I still had to stand by my initial impression that it's tolerable, and pretty much that's it. Like, how can I say? It's definitely not among my top 20 or something. Personally, I feel like I could reserve that thought for better shows that I could watch in the future. But it was a fun ride, and like I said at the beginning, I wouldn't recommend it for people who are very new to anime. But if it's something that but it's, let's say, if someone enjoys revenge tales, then why not watch this show? You might like it.
To wrap up, guys, you can go, if you really want to go and watch this anime, you can do so on Crunchyroll. We will not put the links in the description, but you can just type it in on their website. It is available worldwide in, I think it's English subs, just so you guys can know about that. Also, the next episode of Get a Life podcast, Kunai, is going to be something very special, and it's going to tie in with the original Get a Life podcast.
Can we do a drum roll?
I'm not going to do a drum roll, but what it is, it's an amazing and really amazing anime, in my opinion, and it's one of my favorites, and it's based off a certain game. I really want to say it now. It's Persona 4, the animation. We're going to be talking about that. And, of course, we're not going to be talking about Japanese dub. This is going to be a new kind of thing. We're going to be talking about English dub only. Really weird. I know most people listening will be like, what? English dub? But the English dub of Persona 4, the animation is amazing. Please do not be confused with Persona 4 Golden, the animation that's currently being simulcast. We're talking about Persona 4, the animation. So if you want to watch it, if you want to go and watch it, you can do. I think you can buy the DVDs online, I think from NIS America. I think they're the ones that publish it, but I'm not quite sure. I'll update that kind of stuff on my Twitter page. So hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Say goodbye, guys.
See ya!
Goodbye.
Be sure to check out the Get a Life podcast on iTunes for your Japanese gaming fix and hot chicks. Just kidding. No hot chicks, just fish.
Hey, that hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It just had to be said.